What's going on, everybody? It's Amon-Rellik, the God Slayer. I'm a really gamer. I wanted to have a discussion today. It's been a minute since I've done an actual video. I've been doing a lot of streaming, but due to what's been going on with the Bungie Destiny 2 situation, uh, going into like, of course, like with the Diablo 4 finacle and stuff, and just seeing where like it just seems like the general climate of gaming is becoming, oh, it's becoming like a wider disconnect between the players and then the companies. We love to say developers, but the truth is it's the company as a whole. The disconnect between the player and the company, or the consumer and the company, because you have to remember that the game is a product. But one of the things that I wanted to discuss, and it's mainly in the title as well, is the importance of the part where we say that gaming is an art form. You see, as an artist myself, as a person who, I write fantasy novels, I draw visual art, paint, things of that nature. I understand that there is a very love-hate relationship between between artistic expression and financial viability. There is a love and hate relationship between the two. This love hate relationship usually begins where art, where the creation of the creator must tailor to a certain specific thing. You see, when you look at paintings of the old masters, right? And you see those paintings and you look at how vivid and how realistic they portray the human body, things of that nature, and you see the how they were perfect in how they captured the imperfections of the human body in the world around us. They were perfect in how they captured the imperfections, right? It's one of the defining features of the old masters' style of work. And when you when you look at those paintings, one of the things that usually evokes, if you are any person who's in tune with artistry in any way, usually the one of the biggest things you get in terms from it when you look at it is you get a very deep sense of passion, of an emotion filled passion, not just for the art itself, but for the time in which the art was made. That's why a lot of your old master pieces have like deep religious symbolism in them, because it was made during a time where religion was a very, very important thing to man as a whole. Um, Nowadays, in this day and age where tech and finance are probably the two religions of the world, uh, you don't really see art including things like religion as deep symbolic parts of the expression. Um, but you usually can see in any form of art, even nowadays, good art that's made purely for its own creation's sake has a very, very, very deep passion that exudes out of it when people see it. Like, let's take for instance, everybody knows the game Elden Ring. There's something about walking into Lindale, the royal capital. There's something about just walking out of that corridor and being met with that city, and then the music of that city. If you remember the music in that city, a lot of people don't take this into account, and that is when you walk into that city and you hear that music begin to swell up, there's faint horn sounds. And those faint horn sounds, which literally go straight along with the actual background music, aren't isn't even coming from the music. It's coming from the mobs in the area. If you guys remember the big white mobs with the horns, but when you realize that, you begin to see, oh wow, they painstakingly made sure that those that those mobs were playing a note at the right frequency, at the right interval, to where it would match the actual background music of that area. And you'll see it again with another mob in that area. It's like an assassin, but he's using like a violin or something like that. It's like a violin or it's a flute. He's playing some kind of wind instrument, and if you listen to it, you can tell that he's literally playing along to the background music. It's a beautiful, beautiful expression, of that area, and you can tell that was an artist. That was an artist's vision that did that, and and because of that, even though I listen to the Royal Capital of Lindale's music, I do my best to also go in game and listen to it, because just listening to it with those horns, it adds that pinch of beauty that is just missing when you just listen to the normal version of it without the horns. But like there is a disconnect between consumers and the companies who are supposed to be, or should I say, who ride the wave of games as an art form, because that's what these people want to be known as. They want to be known as artists. Because for years we fought to make games be considered art. But the problem is we forgot that when you transition from trying to be an artist to sell art, now you're no longer creating art. You're now selling a product. And that's where you have to deal with the terrifying 3 words: data-driven management. I am a man who works a job that has data-driven management as well. Now, I want to preface this part by saying this. Data focusing on data is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. It's actually very good, and it's actually highly necessary to make companies run feasibly. But when you are data driven, meaning all of your decisions are based purely upon that, and you don't have a way to pull back the curtain, and not only, because all data really does is it allows you to calculate patterns, and that's cool. But if you don't understand how or why the patterns are occurring, and all you see are the patterns, and that's the only thing you're making your decisions on, what you're doing is you're then, again, breaking the communication. You're breaking the communication between the customer and you, the seller, you, the giver of this product, because it's not just the metric of data that we're talking. The conversation between customer and company, it exists in more than one language. It's not just the language of, oh, graph goes up, we're doing a good job. No, it's graph goes up, so the customer base is saying that they're pleased with our product, but that's just the overarching conversation. We need to be doing this number. We need to be giving out surveys and being like, what about this product do you like? All right, cool. And even while our metrics are going up, we also need to be saying, what about our product did you not like? Because the idea is to keep the things that are loved and get rid of the things that are not, and replace them with things that are loved. So there should be three conversations happening all at once. There should be the overarching conversation of, is it good or not now? Yes. What did you like about it and what did you not like about it? And then the third conversation needs to be, now the stuff that we're going to take out, what would you like for us to put in to replace those things? Because the idea is, whenever you take something away, you must replace it. You must replace it. So those three conversations need to be happening in tandem. They need to be happening in tandem. Because again, just looking at the data just kind of it just shows you an overarch of, okay, people are generally okay with this, but it doesn't give you the why, doesn't give you the how, and I want to give you some examples of I want to give you an example of this. I'm going to give you an example of this. There is a song in the Lightfall campaign. It is when you do the it's when you do the little time trial with Osiris. A lot of people overlook just how awesome that theme is. Like the artistry behind that piece is beautiful. It is a beautiful piece. If you just take that piece by itself and just listen to it, I'm gonna actually do that. I'm gonna put this piece in, and I want you to just hear it. Now you know how Destiny plays, so we don't have to, put any of that. But I just want you to hear the piece by itself, and just tell me, just tell me in the comment section how that piece makes you feel just by hearing it. All right. So you heard that. I gave you about a good, 2 minutes of it. This video might get, hopefully it doesn't, but it might get a little claim on it because of that music. But I did want you to hear it uninterrupted so that you could hear that and be like, okay, you get your feeling, you get the feeling of that thing. Now, if you remember the little arena you had to run around in circles and basically kill mobs you've been doing all this time. And this is what I mean by when art and business just don't mix. And you can try to make them mix, but they fundamentally they're like vinegar and water. Cause like what'll happen is this. You'll have a part of the team whose focus is the artistry. So for Destiny's sake, we're talking the impeccable music team. The music is always moving. It's always moving music. They never really go wrong with their music. And then of course their art design, like their actual art designs, when you see their pieces on like possible enemies that they design and things of that nature. And mind you, even the enemies that they have now are pretty cool designs. It's just that, we've seen them for like 9 years now. And the only real new ones we've seen now over the last 9 years have been what? The Tormentors and like the Wyverns. We've had all the other designs for 9 years. So like, that's why now we don't really so much appreciate the enemy design, because we've had the same designs for so long. But the art design in terms of music and then the visual looks great. It's the implementation, it's the game itself. That part is where you can see the data-driven management. And that's where you see all of the artistry and the soul and the beating heart of what's supposed to be an art form get thrown out, because the disconnect. And Angry Joe said this before about in one of his angry reviews on Destiny 1, I believe, was like the music and the gameplay don't correlate. and that's and even though Bungie's been trying to fix that, they never quite can fix that. And one of the main reasons is because of that. Is because they build the game, they design the game like an artist would, but they build the game like a company would. And I know you're probably saying, well, shit, man, they got to make money somehow, so they got to think like a company. And yeah, that's true. They do have to think like a company in order to make, in order to make the money. But the idea is to try and pull as much artistry as possible into the development process. Like, the only time you want to sacrifice the artistry when you're in a development process is just when it is impossible to do it. And that's where you get companies like From Software who can make a game that from start to finish can literally be called a work of art. And then sell high enough to become Game of the Year. Or should I say, to be put in the conversation and win Game of the Year. So it's not like it cannot be done. Because that's the idea, is you could argue the fact that, well, business has got to run somehow. Yeah, FromSoft does. They run a business somehow. Shit, look at right now. Larian Studios just made Baldur's Gate 3. Not a speck of microtransaction in that game. Right now, that game is being lauded as some of the best of our time. It's up there. Path of Exile, free to play. I think it's got microtransactions in it, but it's essentially free to play. And right now, people are singing its praises, especially the second one that's supposed to be coming out. Which they're still going to make content for the first one. So it's not like It cannot be done. It's not like game companies don't have a choice when it when it's laid in front of them. Hey, we could make this a soulless cash grab, or we can defend what we've been trying to call ourselves for all these years: artists practicing an art form. We want to be respected as artists practicing an art form. Then you have to show me art. You have to show me art. You can't just say it's art and then tell me that, and then think I'm going to believe it. Especially people, again, you're seeing it right now in Hollywood where people just, you can't just come out with any old movie and then call yourself a good director. Nah, because if your writing's trash, all because you can type sentences on a on a computer doesn't make you a writer. You know? So it's the same thing in terms of game development. You want to be recognized as participating in an art form, as being an artist creating something. Because again, that's what we as gamers are buying. We're buying entertainment, but we're buying entertainment that's supposed to evoke feeling. Because a lot of people don't understand that fun is a feeling. Fun is an emotion. You know, fun isn't just it's you could call it a state of being. You know, but I think it's just more simple to just bring it down to an emotion. And now going back to the disconnect that song shows you. This song, you heard the song, beautiful, right? Wonderful. Now I'm going to play that song again. But this time I'm going to give you a piece of art to look at while you're playing the song. While the song's playing, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to remember where that song plays in Destiny, and then listen to the song again while you're looking at this piece of art. Ready? Here we go. All right. All right. It's a little different, doesn't it? And even though you can't hear the actual sound effects from that clip, just being able to audibly hear the music, because the music itself is going to convey an emotion on its own. But then when you're seeing something in front of you that can match the artistry, the emotional movement, when you can do that and put those together, Because that's what gaming's supposed to do. It's supposed to give you an audible and a visual representation of art. You know, it's one of the great things about video game as a medium of as a medium to consume is that it rides the same wave as the television, and the fact that we've been able to take our art forms from just solid one-dimensional art forms. Like, if you're a musician, the only thing you can do is play, and people can hear it. If you're, an actor of any kind, or if you're a painter, the only thing you can do is show the art. But what happens when you take a musician and a painter, have the musician play, and then have the painter paint what he feels from the musician playing? That's technically what you get with TV, or should I say with digital media, is you get the ability to hear the art while seeing it as well. And in video games, it's probably the most spearheaded and probably the most important of all the different types of media you can consume digitally, because of the fact that it's interactive. You can actually get involved in that creation. You can I guess you could say you can kind of like manifest and change around how that is fed to you. It is very important. It is very important that we never forget that you as the consumer have every right to demand for your money. You have every right to demand for your bread. Like, let's not get ourselves in this bunch of, well, I just wanna ask just for a little bit, just a little bit. Just poor old me, just poor old me over here. Just if I could just have just a little bit more content, just a little bit more, just just a little bit, even though you charging $100 for for expansions, and even though you got a cash shop that's never not working, and it's always full of new things. I just kind of just have just a little bit of content, just a little bit of artistry, just a little bit of oomph put behind some of my cosmetics that I can earn in game. Because the idea is to play a game to earn stuff. Again, that's supposed to be the difference between gaming and gambling, where the dopamine rush is from you actually earning the stuff, not from you slot machining the stuff. Like, we're getting to the points where we're blurring the line between gaming and gambling, and we're okay with it. And again, I'm showing the fundamental clash between just games as an art and then games as a business. That fundamental clash is going to remain there forever. But you've got developers who choose, again, they're making the choice to never overstay their welcome when it comes to how they monetize their work. You mean to tell me Elden Ring is just, in all of its functions, look at all of its functions, and you can break them down to just the physics of the tree leaves and all of its functions. You mean to tell me that Elden Ring doesn't deserve to throw some microtransactions in there? For all of the different Souls games that Miyazaki has given us, and trust me, I'm not saying that he should, but what I'm saying is, you mean to tell me that he couldn't have tried none of those times? Oh yeah, he could have tried a lot of those times, but he sticks to an ideal, and that's why everybody loves him. He sticks to an ideal. I make a product, and you pay for it. The only time you pay again is when I make a new product. What we find ourselves doing now, especially with games like Destiny, is we're paying multiple times for a product that has not changed. And that's the problem with live service games, is they have the ability to claim things have changed when nothing has really changed about the game itself. Oh, we added one more armor that's going to have trash rolls on it. So to see, the game's changed. $15, please. Oh, we put a gun in the game that has the same models as other guns. We just colored it different. And put some, maybe like 1 or 2 perks that wasn't originally on that gun on there. Oh, it's a whole new gun now. Oh yeah, we got a, $10 please over here for the cash up. We got another cosmetic out we want you to buy too. Because the game's changing. Game's changing. You're gonna go to the same places. You're gonna shoot the same shit, and you're gonna shoot the same shit for the same loot. And you're going to do that for hours on end. And what I think a lot of people are seeing is that they've been doing it for almost 10 years. They've been playing a game that at its core has not truly evolved for damn near 10 years. I mean, there's not much you can do with FPS outside of, like if you notice, one of the things that Bungie never seems to truly get wrong are their raids. But if you think about it, the Destiny raids are so far removed from the rest of the game in terms of you don't fight bosses like Crota and Oryx. You don't fight bosses like that in the regular game. You see what I mean? Like, the rest of the game, and then there's raids. You see what I'm saying? There's the rest of the game, and then there's raids. And that's what you can praise Bungie on, like, from the high mountaintops. Destiny 2's raids are some of the greatest pieces of of FPS gaming you can probably find, out there. Great, awesome, cool. And you know what? That's when the art visually matches the art sonically, audibly. You know what I'm saying? That's when, and that's why everybody loves them, because what they're seeing and what they're hearing both evokes feeling. But what happens when you have like a piece like that we just heard, and what you're doing is the same mundane shit you've been doing before? Now imagine that being an entire game. Imagine that being an entire gaming genre. Or imagine that being the entire industry. Where what you're hearing is we are listening. What you're hearing is all new content. What you hear is all new, this is coming. This is coming. This is coming. You're hearing the things that they know you want to hear. But then they bring you a data-driven game with no soul in it. We're not going to allocate resources to Gambit because nobody plays Gambit. The reason why nobody plays Gambit is because you fucked Gambit, Bungie. You fucked it. You fucked it, and now you're too lazy to go back and fix Gambit so that people will play Gambit. And so you willfully put yourself in a self-fulfilling prophecy. You willingly do it. You willingly do that because you could break that. You could break that cycle, but you choose not to. You see, because everybody kept saying self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Yeah, but it's a cycle. It is a cycle, but it's one that can be broken. And that state of the game literally said to everybody, we got a cycle, and we refuse to break it. Because if we break the cycle, you will expect us to always do that. And we don't want, again, to set expectations. When we want shit to die, we just want it to die. At the end of the day, they basically said, look, we are tired of trying to upkeep both sides of this game. Okay? We're tired of trying to upkeep both sides of the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 80 over here on the content that we know we can get bread for. And we're gonna put 20 over here, right? Cool. But that's not being done based on because of how the players feel. That's being done based on data and metrics. But I'm not going to rant on too much longer. I just wanted to give you a little 30, 35. This might be about close to an hour. I didn't mean it to be probably like close to an hour, but I'm going to end it off with this little bit of a talking point. Like I said before, I work for a data-driven company. And as a worker, as an employee of this particular company, my job is not seen based on what I do for the customer. That's not what my bosses look like. They don't look at that. What my bosses look at is they look at a bunch of percentages, right? And these percentages do not take into account customer satisfaction. They do not take into account how satisfied the customer is. What they take into account is, what's my percentage on getting the customer to do this? What's my percentage on getting the customer to do this? If those percentages fall under a certain amount, they threaten my job, basically. You know, they don't do it outright, but they basically be like, we hired you because we need you to get, because you're a good people person and you can get people to do this. So we gonna need to get this metric up. You know, they want me to do things like get email addresses. They want me to pry into people's, get people's information, which a lot of people can be very finicky in getting, right? But the customer service is not a metric that they look at when they pull us into the manager's office and give us our evaluations. They're not concerned with that. They're concerned with the metrics, with the numbers in the graphs. That's a very data-driven company. And what makes it hard for somebody like me, who is in the customer service part of this company, is I have to try and appease a cold and emotionless data chart. I have to try and appease that while dealing with a living, breathing, feeling human being. And you can feel like you're being judged on something that you can't control. And in a lot of cases, you are. You're being judged on something that you can't control. But that's the flaw in data-driven metrics, in data-driven management, is they don't see the part that I can't control. And that is the attitude of the person, or the deposition of the disposition of a person. Some people are very paranoid by nature. Some people aren't. Some people come in with a chip on their shoulder. Some don't. You see what I mean? So it's like, but what data and metrics does is it just turns everything into numbers, and there's no nuance. There's no nuance to be had. And as an artist, as a person who, every one of my talents, every one of the things that I'm exceptionally good at has all to do with art, working for a data-driven company drives me insane. So I know that a lot of the artistic people that are working at Bungie, I know working that job drives them insane. I know it drives them utterly mad. Because I'm pretty sure half of them people, I'm pretty sure a good half of those developers are like, yo, there's so much tight, awesome shit that the players could be seeing and experimenting with and playing around with. But all because these motherfuckers and I'm not even, I won't even say that it's upper management. It's probably just the first level of upper management. The ones who are afraid to get chewed out by their bosses. You see what I'm saying? It's probably them who's like, all because these fucking metrics and shit, they don't even really care about how the game feels to play. How does Destiny feel to play? Not, let's look at the numbers. Oh, Destiny's doing good. No, how does it feel to play? Have you actually just sat down and looked at all the different streamers playing your game, Destiny, and just see, are they smiling? Are these fuckers even smiling? When they die, are they lighthearted about it? Or can you tell there's pent up anger? How are these how's the streams chat? Is everybody in the chat talking shit about your game? I'm not saying that data and metrics don't have their place. They do. But sometimes you got to take your face out of those fucking papers and actually take your fingers and put them on the pulse of a living, breathing community. Because again, if you want to be respected as an art form, you got to make us feel something. Now, if tomorrow Bungie would have come out and say, we don't make art, we make products. All right, fine. Now I know what to expect from you. But this is the same company who would still like to ride the wave of being known for Halo. You see what I mean? Which many a gamer will say Halo was a work of art. I'll even say that, yeah, Halo was a work of art. And you got a company who still willingly and proudly rides that wave. If you want to be respected as an artist, then deliver us art, and we'll pay for it. But don't think you can nickel and dime a player base, a customer base. Don't think you can nickel and dime the shit out of a customer base, and then turn around and say, "Well, this is too hard to do." No, it's not, because there are other developers who are smaller than Bungie. And I'm not even talking about with Bungie being acquisitioned by Sony. I'm leaving Sony out of it. Just Bungie alone. There are companies that are smaller than Bungie who are doing it. And again, it's not our fault Bungie chose to be a live service model. Okay? It's never your fault, the consumer. And I'm going to probably end it with this. It's not your fault that they make decisions the way they make them. It is not your fault. And all because they choose to make bad decisions doesn't mean you lose the right to demand more for your dollar. That's their fault for that. Because again, I'm pretty sure you all go to work and you got that boss that looks at you and say, "Hey, this is what we need." And he's not worried about the inner workings and the nuances. Just like my boss don't give a shit about how the customer feels. Them metrics gotta look right. Well, we as consumers could look at them and say, we don't give a fuck about any of that. You sold me a game that you said was going to be fun and was going to be properly maintained over a period of time, and I am not getting my money's worth. Fix it. Because like I always say, the rule of capitalism is if I pay you my money, it must work. I'm Amon-Rellik the God Slayer. I'm Amon-Rellik Gaming. I'm out of here, y'all.